Hi guys, I just thought I would jump on here and talk about where I've been for the past like 4 months. I jumped on here the other day and I realized that my subscriber count had gone up to 76 subscribers when the last time I looked I had like 40 something. So thank you for that. I don't know how I gained subscribers while I wasn't making videos, but thank you. I just wanted to explain why I haven't posted any videos the last few months, and yeah. So the first thing that happened was we had a giant storm hit our area, and it was crazy. I looked out the window and I watched as power lines went crashing to the ground and a giant fireball in the street, and then we lost power. It was we had no power for about most of a day. It started at about 1 in the morning, and we didn't get power back until late afternoon that day. And it was in the summertime, and so it was hot. We spent the time at my mom's house, and the kids were at school, and we had two giant trees land on the wall of our apartment, and we also uprooted some trees that broke our water main, and we didn't have water, running water, for 3 days. It was crazy. We had the news come. It was, it was, it was kind of weird. It was very localized. It was crazy. My mom lives on one side of me, and my brother's family lives about 2 miles the other way. And both of them were on the outer edges of the storm, but me and my sister were right in the middle, and we got hit hard. And I don't know if my area was the hardest hit, but it was definitely one of the more harder hit areas. And then as we were recovering from that and things were going back to normal, my family started to show signs of COVID. So we stayed home, and I couldn't get enough sleep and I couldn't get enough water, but I was very lucky. It was very mild, and I made sure that I spent a lot of time walking little laps around my teeny tiny living room to keep my lungs working and clear. It took about 3 weeks, but we did get better and get over it and get back to regular life. It was so funny. I remember the first time after I was better, going out in the car with my mom. We were going to the store or something somewhere, and I hadn't seen the neighborhood cleaned up from the storm yet. So it was crazy to see so many trees missing, because the last thing I had seen was all the trees were down everywhere, blocking roads, blocking yards, trees on houses. I get out into the world again, and all of a sudden it's nice and clean and it looks great, but it looks really empty because all the trees are gone. And then a few weeks later, I went on my very first ever girls trip. We went to Las Vegas. I went with my mom and my aunt and two of my cousins. And my mom and my aunt and we went to the Donny Osmond concert in Las Vegas, and it was so good. I did video some stuff there. I'm going to share it at some point, but it was such a fun trip, and I'm so glad that I got to go. Got married, and that was so much fun. He married a girl who we have loved forever and ever and ever, and now she's our cousin, so it's perfect. And then I turned 40. I was actually not really I was nervous about turning 40. Like, just the thought of turning 40, it wasn't a comforting thought. But it is what it is. I'm 40 now. But something happened that far overshadowed that, and it doesn't really bother me anymore. And then my brother's family contracted COVID, and all five of them got it. The girls got it very mildly and they recovered very quickly. However, my brother and my sister-in-law, they struggled a lot more. And I know my brother was not admitted, he was taken to the ER for oxygen a couple times, and he just wasn't getting better. He eventually drove himself to a hospital that's a little bit far away from us, and he ended up getting admitted. And then a couple days after that, his wife actually had to go get admitted as well, and that left their 3 little girls with nowhere to go in this house that was full of COVID. And so my aunt and uncle were so sweet, and they stepped in and they took the girls for a week. And they took such good care of them. And then after that week, they came to stay with me. And it was an interesting week because I live in a tiny, tiny apartment, and I had 5 kids in this little tiny place. Well, 5 kids to sleep, and then on top of that, my other brother's kids that I regularly babysit. So I had a full house, but we had so much fun. And towards the end of when I was taking care of the kids, my sister-in-law actually did get released from the hospital and got to come home. And so that was a really exciting time when the girls got to see their mommy. My brother, however, just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and they just kept having to take the next step, until ultimately on my birthday he was put on a ventilator. And we had conference calls with him every night so that we could talk, and he couldn't talk back, but he could hear our voices. And it was a bittersweet time because we got to have these nightly family conference calls, and we just talked like he was just part of the conversation. And it was a really sweet time to be able to just be with my family. But ultimately he did not make it. He was steadily improving, and they were talking about they were hoping to wean him off of the ventilator over the next couple of days. And we were so excited. That night we had gotten a report that he had had his best numbers yet since he had been admitted, and we were so hopeful. But ultimately, the next morning, my sister-in-law got a call that said, "You need to get down here right now. He's not going to make it." And so we went down there, and we were allowed to go be with him in the COVID ICU. And my sister and I were the last ones to get there, and because it's really far away. Not really far away, but it's far. And we couldn't find a parking space, and my sister was very, very pregnant. Yes, she had a baby. That happened too. But we did not think we were going to make it into the hospital room before he passed away. And we finally got there, and we found a parking space in a parking lot we probably weren't supposed to park in. And we got up to the hospital, and they let us in, but then the nurse said she wouldn't let us in. And so I guess my mom made it happen, because next thing I know, we were being ushered back to my brother's room, and the nurse helped me gown up. And as I walked into the room right behind my sister, my brother passed away. We were in the process of telling him hello and goodbye as he passed away. And that was really hard. That's my little brother. And it's hard to have my brother gone. He was a person he was larger than life. He was this huge giant man. He was like 6'7", and his personality was as big as his physical body. He always made everybody happy. He always knew what to say to help you laugh, or whatever it was you're going through. He knew how to make you feel better while you were going through it. And now he's not here to do that, and that's really hard, but I know he is watching over his girls and his wife and the rest of us. He is a person who, family is his everything. He had to be around his family. He loves his family, and I know that he went back to heaven because God needed him back in heaven. I know that it was his time to go. Whether or not I understand why it was his time to go, I know that it was God's plan for him, and I know that I'm going to see my brother again someday. I know that without a doubt I will be with him again, and I'll be with my husband again, and both my grandpas, and there are so many people who I love who are now in heaven, and I know that they're watching over me and protecting me and my family. The next thing that happened was shortly after we were in the COVID ICU, my sister's family contracted COVID, and my sister was 32 weeks pregnant at the time. But luckily they all had it very mild and all was well. And since my sister and her family had COVID over Thanksgiving, I, at 40 years old, for the first time ever, made my own family's Thanksgiving dinner. And I think I did a pretty good job. After Christmas, it was just a couple days later, my sister, the plan was my sister was going to have her baby on, I don't remember what the day was, but it was going to be, she had the certain day she was going to go into the hospital and have her baby. It was scheduled, and the baby had other ideas. So the morning of the day that I was supposed to go be at her house with her kids so she could go to the hospital, I was supposed to go over there that night. She called me that morning and said, he's here. He had decided to come a day early. And so I now have, my kids are now two of 12 grandkids instead of 11. And I will share pictures or videos of him soon when his mom says it's okay. But he is the cutest little baby boy. He is just so stinking adorable. And he is a reminder that everything is going to be okay. He's just this cute little guy fresh from heaven, and he is so needed right now. Okay, and I think that is everything that has happened. I did record some videos over the past few months that I will be sharing. They're just from a while ago, so when I post a beginning of school video, just know that it's from August and not now. But I will be sharing those videos, and I hope to get videos uploaded more regularly. I am going to leave you at the end of this video with a short little clip of my brother. He had a truck and he named it Hank. And Hank was his son. He wanted so bad to have a son, and he was blessed with beautiful little girls instead. And so he named his truck Hank, and his daughters call Hank their brother. Like, he is a part of the family. And so when my brother passed away, his truck was not working. And so my brother-in-law and my uncle and my cousin, they worked really hard, and they figured out the problem with the truck, and they got all the stuff squared away, and they surprised my brother Kyler with it on Christmas morning. And it was a really touching moment, and I did happen to video that, so here is that clip.
Everybody all go felt.
They fixed it.
I don't hear a song.
It's fixed. It's registered. Everybody, Hank is fixed for Kyler's
Damn it.
It's fixed and registered until March. Yeah, it's good till March. Merry Christmas, everyone on the family.
Shout out to Jason Joey for your help.
And song playing. I actually told what you got.
This thing burns gas like crazy, but that's alright. People got their ways.
Go on, Tyler.
Oh, and I got
Dang it, I
Why am I crying?
Hardy.
Come here, sweetie.
Bye, Daddy. Bye, Daddy.